feast or the solemnity of the Immaculate Conception of our Mother, which means we are celebrating her conception. So let us make sure we know there are two conceptions we are worried about, and the difference between this feast that we celebrate. Okay, there you go. No, the previous one. Immaculate Conception is Mary is conceived in the womb of her mother Anne. 8th December, 9 months. Look at that. September 8th is her birthday. So, and then the conception of Jesus takes place at the Annunciation, which is we celebrate on the 25th March, which is 9 months. December 25, so 9 months, right? Okay. It's all about the 9 months. Mothers are very special people. You know, they give birth to us. There is this, before that, there is the gestation, nourishment, and raising up the children and all that. So, but we are learning something more about what happens during this pregnancy and after, which makes mothers even more special. Just read an article or the reflection written for today by one of our Holy Cross priests, Dan Parrish, and I was fascinated by one aspect that he brought out, which I mentioned in the morning, and it raised a lot of interest, and therefore I studied more. And I put it on the slide so we don't have that issue. It's kind of biological lesson, so ready for a biology lesson today, and also the doctors and nurses and biology teachers might know this, or you all might know this. I didn't know this so far, so let's do this. Scientists have only recently discovered the ways that the fetal cells live on independently within the mothers after pregnancy. It is called human feto-maternal microchimerism. Full, so it'll help us. What is microchimerism? The word derives from chimera, which was a mythological creature which was part lion, part goat, part serpent. And micro means, you all know, small. Micro chimerism means small amount of cells that came from the genetically distinct individual. Meaning to say, the presence of a small population of these cells that continue to live in the mother after the child is born. Then there are two types of feto-maternal microchimerism. One is feto-maternal, having to do with the fetus and its mother, and the other is, of course, microchimerism. And in that, there are two types. They are called technically FMC and MMC. FMC stands for fetal microchimerism. MMC is maternal microchimerism. What are they? FMC stands for the presence and persistence of fetal cells in the maternal tissues. And MMC stands for the presence and maintenance of maternal cells in fetal tissues, especially in the heart muscle. And in the male child, it persists even longer. In other words, after pregnancy, carried to term or not, the genetically distinct cells of the child with their own unique DNA live on in the breast, bone marrow, skin, liver, and heart, and brain tissues of their mothers. In the case of Jesus and Mary, think of this. Jesus and Mary, this takes on an even deeper meaning, doesn't it? First, it means that when Jesus died on the cross, part of him continued to live in his mother, Mary. And it means that at the Assumption, Jesus' full humanity was finally united or reunited in heaven, both his own resurrected body and the cells that were resurrected and assumed into heaven within his blessed mother. Profound. Just as Mary was a tabernacle of Jesus before birth, she likewise was the earthly dwelling place for some of Christ's cells after he ascended into heaven. Is it any wonder we have a special devotion to this first and greatest disciple, Mary? Because Jesus continued to live in his mother, even after he died and went to heaven. And then when Mary's turn came to go back to heaven, they were reunited. So beautiful. In the Immaculate Conception, we celebrate that Mary herself was conceived without sin. She was kept pure by God to be the mother of Christ. Just as Adam and Eve were created without sin, Mary, the new Eve, was likewise kept immaculate. You and I were never meant to live in sin, to be crippled by our own weakness and selfishness. We were meant to be like Mary and Jesus, surrounded by grace and freedom to live in harmony with God and with each other. And we are destined one day to join Mary and Jesus in gazing on the face of our Father in eternal peace. So, come to think of it, Mary is just not a sentimental piece of figurine that we keep in the crush during Christmas time. Or Mary is just not a lovely lady dressed in blue, but she's much more than that. Theologically, her role is so central. She is Theotokos, God-bearer, the one who bears God into this world. She is the great Ark of the Covenant. So the solemnity of the Immaculate Conception is a catalytic miracle, meaning one miracle leading to the other. In order for the greatest miracle, the Incarnation, to take place, something else had to take place before that, and therefore comes this feast. Mary had to be chosen by God for this particular role so that she would be able to bring forth God's own Son as immaculately conceived, and she needed to be pure, and therefore she was given this grace of Immaculate Conception. So Immaculate Conception is the beginning of a new world. It's paradise reinvented in a little girl conceived young without sin. Mary, the new Eve, will crush the head of the ancient serpent through the son she is to bear. Today we celebrate the heartbeat of hope which begins in rhythm in the womb of Saint Anne. Nothing will ever be the same. Mary, conceived without sin, is a great example for us, and we shall ask her to pray for us today who have recourse to her.